Okay, so I've opened up the tool vise. We've expanded out for the upper compound member. Going through the diagnosis, looking at these group of mates that aren't suppressed yet. I'm going to go ahead and suppress and see which ones are causing this to not allow for the rock. So at this point, it's capable of moving. We go back in and we unsuppress 25, and in its position it's not moving. So I'm going to suppress it back, unsuppress 26 because it's pretty much doing the same thing, also keeping it from rocking. Unsuppress for the set screw. Now we have the clamp plug, the clamp. All right, so even that concentric is not allowing it. And that concentric not allowing it. And I'm not following the logic of why. Okay, so out of the group, that's the only one that is not creating an issue. So we have the limit angle, and the limit angle is basically keeping it from going too far. So that's still able to rotate. Let's see what happened to the hardware. All right, so we had the socket screws. Let's go ahead and check those out. Oh, they're in hidden mode, so we just need to show those. All right, so in that movement, now the set screw is staying in position and not moving with the rest of the assembly like it's supposed to. So that concentric and that coincident back to the face, but I suspect it originates back to the plug. All right, so looking at the clamp plug then, the only two mates that were there were tangent and coincident to the end of the set screw. So that being the case, I'm going to unsuppress the concentric, which will cause that to not move, and then go back to the tangent, suppress it, and by turning these on and off, we'll see which ones are creating the issue. All right, so what that tells me then is I need to come up with another method. I do want it to be and the plug comes out. Alright, so tangent from this planar face, for most part, back to the curved face. That tangent's trying to lock it into a location. So the quick method, maybe not the best method, but the quick method will be to take a measurement, 1/8 of an inch. Let's go ahead and suppress the tangent mate, and then I'll come back to those two faces. We'll come up with a nicer number there. All right, the other cam plug. Let's go ahead and unsuppress and suppress. Set a distance mate. And let's go ahead and rebuild. Oh, and then the set screw also needs to have its concentric mate unsuppressed. All right, and that will give us the movement. So, kind of the unexpected consequence of the tangent going up against that angled face is that it was trying to leave it in position. So we know that it will rotate, but if we go back and look, yeah, it's still pretty much staying in that position. Kind of expected it to stay stationary, or at least in that position, and not want to rotate. Okay, so the other side is if I suppress too much, which we still have things capable of moving, and I haven't put a limit made on the the tool. What do we call that? The tool holder. So that means that it's capable of going through its rotation. All right. So to get this into a finished position for the angle, I'm going to look back to my parallels. All right. So the center compound. And actually we want to be something, probably not the right plane, top plane, front plane looks pretty good. And then we're going to look for the associated plane. Okay, so the right plane. And when I place it at its angle of 15 degrees, oh, not inches, 15 degrees. Now that should take care of the movement. All right, so that's kind of the extreme case, or the alternate position. When I go back to dynamic, I changed a bunch of things. So the ones that would be driving are again in the tangent mates. So for this configuration, the angle will be suppressed. And pretty much under the clamp plug, know that I'm going to have to go back and suppress. And if those are going to continue to be a problem, then at this point I can't think of a good reason to keep them, but we can always reapply them later. So delete on the keyboard. We'll take the tangencies out and stay with the distance mate instead, because we're looking for something representative. I'm not so much worried about the mechanical movement or checking for the clearances, but getting it to a point where this is stable. So we have the rotation, we have the up and down, we have the don't have the side to side. So that means there's one more mate that I need to suppress. All right, so that angle, and it's not going to create a conflict because it's still within the 15-degree movement of the limit angle. All right, so making it dynamic, being able to move back and forth, look for those collisions, interferences. That's going to be the main focus. Last one is to double check the default. And the default did not jump back, so since we started there, we're going to have to go back through the mates, and I can unsuppress the parallels. All right, so we're going back to kind of that perfect position. All right, the items, the other handle that we suppressed, the things that are making dynamic, those are also going to be suppressed. So all of those mates need to stay suppressed. All right, so here I'm only looking for the parallel, unsuppress, and now I have the default or static position, and I have the dynamic, which is capable of moving every which way, and we have the angle, which shows that it is an extreme position. So one of the purposes of the angle is when we start making the assembly drawing is we'll have an alternate position to go to. All right. Let's see, all the hardware is turned on, everything's pretty much in place. Still back under the configuration tab. We haven't generated anything for 2017. I'm not familiar with the configuration comments, so probably put them in somewhere. No. All right, just going to get a little notepad. Going to have to read up on what that one does. All right, so for the default, that's where I want to work on my exploded view. All right, last time I was also looking for the, let's see, we can add a new display state. Double check the options real quick. Where is that going to be? I want to see if there's anything about the configurations in the display states. All right, well, it's not jumping out at me, so we'll go ahead and get out of that. What I would like is the display states to be configuration specific. I haven't done it in a while, and now it's kind of disappeared on me. So if we just go to the display state, let's look at the properties. There it is. So right-clicking on the display state, link display states to configurations. All right, so I really want that one to go away. Make that one current. At this point, both of those would be linked to the default, and that's not really what I was intending. All right, so just had to push enough buttons. Go to the properties. We're going to the advanced options, link display state to configuration. So display state 1 will be associated to the default. Dynamic will be display state 2. And angle will be display state 3. So what that lets me do is I can change wireframe, transparencies, colors, anything that is a texture and appearance. The position or the viewing the decals, those fit into the display state. Under the configuration, that's going to change size. I want one that's 5 by 5 instead of 3 by 3. I want something with 4 holes in it instead of 2 on each side. Changing the base parameters of the object is the realm of the configuration. Changing how it looks is the realm of the display state. We can have, obviously, it started off with this unchecked. So we can have a display state that is attached to all of the configurations or just one configuration at a time. So for the angle, to kind of show its complete position, let's just change a couple of quick appearances. So I picked the center, and it's going to ask me when I choose the little beach ball with a pencil what it is that I want to modify, and we're going to be at the component level, the body, and then the part level. All right, and there's different reasons why we would pick each of those, but let's go to the assembly level. Nope, it went to, maybe I had that reversed. All right, so I do want to be at the component level of the assembly, so that was the bottom one. I did have them reversed. And so for that piece, let's go with the dark blue. And this display state only, or are we making the modifications for all? If you don't come down to this level, eventually you're going to change something, and it's not going to update the way that you expect it. All right, so make sure to look at the full options. All right, so we'll try that again. All right, so at the assembly, oh, I skipped one. The assembly, the face that I selected, the part level, and so let's see if that'll go. So the very top one at the component level of the assembly. It doesn't look too bad, kind of an orange. and it's going to be just for this display state. Alright, so colors are nice because they help differentiate edges. You can pick up some interferences just going through that process of setting the colors and giving a little more contrast as you're going through the diagnosis, doing the evaluation of the parts. I go back to dynamic, and nope, I'm not editing dynamic. I want to be in dynamic. So this is the one that moves all around. You can check for those movements. It's attached to display state 2. What else would we like to do? I'm going to make display state 3 the angle configuration, the one that I'm going to mess with. So let's go ahead and expand out the display, and for the saddle, I'm going to put that one into hidden lines visible. And then for the tool holder, I want to see it in transparency. All right, just to do some of the different examples that we might be interested in. Okay, so going back again, the appearances. This is everything that's been applied to the parts that they've been applied. And I'm not sure. Well, display state target. So obviously they're going through the group. So components and parts, different levels. Did it come over with the part, or was it assigned at the assembly level? All right. So back into the default position. All right. So a lot of kind of, for the most part, inconsequential background. Being able to go through and manage the display states, do those items, but at some point in industry, you're going to open up a model that has these configurations, has these display states. As you change configurations, things update, or as you change displays, as you change the display states, colors change, transparencies change. The model is being affected by those, so you need to know when and where you can make those edits, or when you need to ask what is going on in the background that I should be aware of, so that I don't mess up things that have been created or already in the works for this model. All right, so next is deciding where I want my exploded view. And for the exploded view, we're under the assembly. We can go to exploded view on the command manager. And sometimes I like the auto spacing, sometimes I don't. So in this case, I'm going to also be able to right-click on the configuration, new exploded view. If you're going to use the auto space components on drag, make sure it's on before you start your selections. So for your Chapter 5 exercises, auto spacing is a quick way to do the explodes. The explodes don't take that long, so it's kind of a recommended. You do not need to do the motion. You don't need to do kind of those higher level functions just yet, but understand what they are and where they're coming from. All right, so this was my starter. I do want to kind of group up some of the hardware items. I'm not going to do the auto space as more of a point. I guess at the very bottom is if I had made this into a subassembly and exploded the screws and the scale and some of the other items, I can reuse that subassembly. It will grab it out of the that other assembly file and explode these components in relation to their subassembly. All right, so we haven't created a subassembly at this point. Maybe that would be kind of one of the last things we do is create a subassembly on the fly, because there are some tricks and traps that fall into that mix as well. All right, so everything on this side in the way of hardware I'm going to start with. So picking the geometry for the screw, the handle, Actually, all that looks pretty good. Need to grab a direction, and everything's going to come out some distance. So I'm kind of in the habit of dragging a little too far, maybe, getting the things out of the way, and then we'll come back to it and set some dimensions later. All right, so I wanted some gaps, some distance. These are all pretty much in the same plane that they're staying in. On this side, then, probably going to have to go back and pick the plug separately, which that works out okay. All right, so these are going to come out to the side. Maybe the plug and the piece, those can come out at the same time. And actually, I want to add to that group, so the last explode step, make sure that that's selected. I can go ahead and add the 440 screw into that mix, and when I apply it, it should jump out. Oops, and I just got out of the explode. I wasn't quite ready to do that. So we're going to expand out, right click on the explode view, edit the feature. That puts me back into the property manager for the explodes, and we're right back to picking. All right, so I lost a handle on this side. Maybe I didn't turn everything back on for the dynamic. So this can go, and we'll add one more. All right, so I need to find out what's going on with my handle. So we're going to expand out the hardware. Oh, I didn't put handles in everywhere. I only have 2 instances of the handle. So that's that what if scenario. May have to go back through and add those 2 handles in. All right, so I'm kind of getting all of the outside out of the way. So back in, edit the feature, grab the hardware first. Okay, so those come out, and then yeah, I decided the plug could come out at the same time. Oh, and missed it again. So double click, make sure I'm in the blue, pick on the 440, make sure to apply, and most of the time we'll hit done. All right, so complicated little tool vise. All right, edit the feature. So this one I do want to do the auto spacing. And for the auto spacing, going to pick the bottom, the center. Oops, and I think the order does count here. Right, I picked the upper first, and the then going back to the center. So with the auto spacing on, if I drag those out, well, maybe not. Kind of expecting that one to stay in between. All right, so I guess as long as you get them all into their position. And for chain 1, let's go ahead and bring the scale, and we'll do that as a secondary, and it auto spaced on me that way. So since we can't really change the order for that one, oh, wait a minute. And I don't know how much of this is a 2017, so nope, that one's the bottom scale. Let's see, I can see 4 of them. So those are letting me pull those individually. Let's go back into get out of it by hitting done, and then go back into the chain. Nope, I still only see the 4. So I don't, either that one didn't apply correctly, or it's really not working with it. Alright, so we'll try again. Nope, not getting anywhere with it. Oh, and the auto space is still on, so it's kind of giving it a going really far, but not dragging a whole lot. All right, so let's get back into chain 2. So apparently that one's still into chain 1. All right, so I can go edit the explode step directly. Delete it out of there. Ah, got out of it again. Edit the feature. Drag this one forward. Try and find a decent spot for it. And that's not too bad. It could have gone a little further. Okay, so that gives me my exploded view. Maybe not 100% complete, but enough to go into the next round. So collapse and explode. And so when we want to see it in that exploded state, we don't have to save a separate assembly. There's no separate file for the explode and the static. The configuration, in this case, the drive configuration, is managing that explode view. All right, and then each of the configurations with its own display state are managing the visual properties at that level. All right, so taking this over into the drawing, the issue is that whichever configuration is active, that's usually the one that comes in. So, or tries to come in first. So we're going to pick the default, and I brought over the MCC sidebar. Let's go ahead and do a make drawing from an assembly. And one of the issues with the just trying to directly copy the template over the sheet format over is that it will retain the previous location of the sheet format. So any additional sheets will show that sheet format is not able to locate that previous sheet format. So bringing it over to the new computer, coming over the network system, anytime there's a change in the location of where the drawing template and the sheet format live, we're going to want to right-click on the sheet, on the first sheet, and make sure that this location is where it is. If not, we're going to browse to it, make it active, and then apply changes. Go through that process, save the drawing template, and overwrite the existing drawing template so that that information updates. I'm not ready for that. Well, let's go ahead and we'll do the drawn by. Pick a date. Apply for our drawing properties. Pick the feature palette, or sorry, the view palette. And let's go with the crash and burn. Okay, run through the recovery. So one of the things with the crashes, we're far enough into the year that I do want to check for my service pack. I'm still on service pack 0. Service pack 3 early visibility was out. I downloaded it. Service pack 3 may be out by this point. So errors, things that are popping up, especially when it's not, let's say that was not a normal crash. I would point towards a correction in the service pack to kind of fix that issue. So let's try one more time. Make drawing from a landscape. Going into my view palette, we'll drag out the front view. And we're going to go immediately into the projection. And these are going to be a little on the large side, so let's just go ahead and bring in the 4 views. For the sheet scale, we're already at half scale. Let's see what 1/5. Well, a little on the small side there. I'm going to right click, go to the properties, which is the same as coming back down here and doing the sheet properties. And 1/2 was a little too much. 1/3 looks okay. And I'm more concerned with the visual than I am hitting any specific scale. So there's been times where a 13/16 scale looked good on the sheet. That's what I picked. All right, so don't be afraid to use some weird numbers if it makes it to fit. All right, so we're not going to get a lot of base information. This is just kind of our views, not really intending to put dimensions on. So the reason that I was checking the properties before I crashed was the sheet. If this comes up and says file not located, ask you for the location of that sheet format for additional sheets in your multi-sheet drawing package, then something wasn't set right at that location. All right, so coming back to the view palette, we'll go ahead and let that update. I'm still looking for the assembly. One of the nice things is that from the view palette, I can go right to the isometric exploded view. So we'll drag that in, see what it looks like. Not too bad. It is going to be a little busy to fit the bill of materials in here as well. And the thing of note is that once you have an assembly file that has an exploded view created in it, you're going to see this extra checkbox, show an exploded or model break state, and then what are the states that you can pick from if you have multiple exploded views. Right, so with that view selected, with the checkbox in place, let's go ahead to tables. And under the tables, I want to pull up the bill of materials. We're going to go with the bill of materials standard. We'll need to modify that bill of materials at some point to include additional information from our custom properties, anything that we want to build in. When I go ahead and select it, yeah, that got a little bit long. All right, so we're probably at the stage where I'm not going to fit both of these on the same sheet. So let's go to Control X on the table, and then I will Control V, paste it onto the next sheet so that I complete out that list. So that gives me more room over here. I may want to put an annotation C sheet 3 for BOM. And let's see if the auto balloon picks up. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. So one of the things with the auto balloon, let's see which one is it, is before you commit to the final placement, since it does kind of stretch everything out a little bit, grab one of the balloons and drag it in a little bit closer, get it into a better position. Once it's in position, then the magnet lines will grab the individual sections. In this case, because I did the whatever it was, the square linear, now I can position those individual. Right, and then on the arrows, we can find some slightly better locations. So I'll stay with the edges. All right, that one's probably for the 440 screw. I'm a little busy, but get the idea. All right, so at some point before this gets too crazy, I want to save it. All right, so this is going to be the tool vise. I'm going to go ahead and make an assembly drawing. So in the drawing hierarchy, the drawing structure, I may want to have this assembly be a drawing by itself. We'll have the assembly level components. So when we build in 4 or 5 sheets on components that are already 9 or 10 deep, I won't be using up the additional sheets. One that we created then was the alternate position, and because I have that extra um, view, let's bring in another front. And we'll go ahead and accept it. All the way at the end, the alternate position view is now highlighted. And I want to use the existing angle configuration that I kicked over and kicked forward. And it shows me kind of in the wireframe where it can move to. Well, that's certainly not big enough, so let's go to a 1-to-1. And maybe that's a little oversized, but it kind of shows the out of position that this is capable of moving in that direction, or overlays on top of that direction. Looking at this, I don't think that there would be any great advantage to having another one that started off leaning to the back and to the right side as opposed to forward and to the left side. But those are some of the decisions you have to make as you go. So again, putting in a notation, alternate position, or something that, what is the purpose of this sheet is somebody that doesn't have the tool vise in front of them can kind of look at this and try to kind of get a sense of the movement, what things are going to go where. All right, so let's save the assembly one more time, and then we'll go into the model. All right, so let's just go with the new, pick up our template, and as a review, we have to have 4 or 5 ways to bring parts into the assembly. Most of the time, you're going to insert component, but you can pull from the File Explorer, from the Windows Explorer, from the feature tree, parts that have already brought in under the insert component, and then the insert pull down. And pretty much the same thing happens in the drawings. So we've been going to the view palette, and under the view palette, I will need to hit the ... and we're going to browse. So even though the 1 through 10 is kind of on our location, I want to double check for. Yeah, the buildup looks pretty good there. So based on the order, kind of checking out the little icon. The saddle would be the first piece that I would grab, and then the center compound member would be attached to it. But then, realistically, the lower plate would be the next item that I'd want to pick up. So I'm thinking in terms of what is my roadmap of assembly, and does it need to be a roadmap? Will it assist in the assembly or in the manufacture, or is the assembly drawing going to be enough information? Something that might consider out of the assembly drawing is giving it an order of assembly, that these are my preferences, how I envision it, and start that documentation trail that goes out to the assemblers and say, hey, if you run into problems with this order or you find a better way, we can change it, but recommended is that pick up the saddle, put the center compound in, put the lower plate on, grab a couple of screws, and loose fit. We can go to that level of detail for the instructions. All right, so I want to bring in the saddle first, and staying with the view palette. The front really isn't a lot of detail on the side, so can probably get away with just those two. Because the whole wizard has the annotation, that is really not my preference, and there may be something up in the options. I'll have to go look to see if we want to bring in those annotations. Most of the time, I bring them in and then I delete them. For the center marks, those were put in automatically where it found the holes, but I should have a center center layer already created. So that'll go into to its position. All right. I think that's good enough to start. Going back to what has been around forever, the model view. We're going to browse in much the same way. And one of the advantages, oh, that was what I was missing, was the isometric view. So one of the advantages of the model view is we can create multiple views. Kind of the same thing. I want to do the front, the top, and the isometric. And 1-to-1 will probably be way too tight to put any dimensions with. So there's another one that may be 3-to-2 or 1.5 to 1. Nope, went the wrong way. So we're at 1/2 scale. Let's try, I was thinking maybe 2/3, so let's try 3/4. It's a little bit bigger. And I'm not so concerned about the isometric, so picking on the isometric using a custom scale. User defined, it can go back to 1/2, and there's the annotation again. And then really for our sizing, 1/2 should be okay. Just need to get rid of that. And center was obviously not selected, and one I'm going to have to, nope, not the whole thing, just the center mark. There we go. Alright, so it is changing back to dim. So as long as we're bringing these in. Now under the options and the document properties, let's see, where is that? Annotations, no. There we go, center lines and center marks. Oh, my layer isn't set. Well, let's go ahead and set that to center for both. And see if it will come in. My recording pause button's right there, so I'm trying not to inadvertently pause. All right, so standard 3 views, kind of the same. Don't use that one a whole lot. Let's go to the upper compound, and it goes directly to, and went right back to dims. And ignored the options that I set in the so not sure what the logic there is, but one of these days gonna check that one out. All right, so we'll just set that over to center. So 3 views brought in what it said: the front, the right side, and the top view. Since I didn't get an isometric, we can always switch over to the projected view, and projected will pull out the isometric for us. Size-wise, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Might shrink that one down a little bit. Okay, so those are kind of the 3 main. Another one that we can do is tile horizontally or tile vertically. In this case, tile vertically is going to look a little better. I'm going to shrink this up on the feature just a little bit, and we're going to switch back over to the assembly view. So we've got the saddle, the center, the upper, and we're ready for the tool holder. So one of the speed methods is to, oh, can't spell compound, bring the tool holder in, and it automatically, yeah, I just should have left that a little bit bigger, it automatically goes in, creates the multiple views, and in this case, being cylindrical, I don't know that I want all 3, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in. We'll worry about the notations a little later. Bring in the lower plate. Select 4. Go ahead and select. And it's going to be kind of messy. I'm sacrificing that speed of getting the views in there directly from the assembly, the order that they are pretty much in the assembly, and then just make sure I'm not doing duplicates. And I'm getting everything kind of created, probably more views than I need, and then I'll come back and worry about the making it a little nicer afterwards. All right, so the clamp, or not the clamp, the protractor scale, same thing, a little bit more. We'll have to add the sheet metal portion of it, and then the clamp plug. And that one's going to be really small. And I'm pretty sure I don't want all the views, but there we go. All right, so just populated everything else out. From the File Explorer then, we can pull out of this list open in SolidWorks or documents that were recently open, and probably less common, but is pretty functional if we're on dual monitors. Having the Windows Explorer open on the second monitor, locating the components, then dragging from Windows Explorer into, well, once I find it, if I drag from Windows Explorer into the drawing template, that will also get me there. Out of those five or six ways of getting a component, getting your parts or assembly into the drawing sheet, 1 or 2, 3 are going to work best for you. Those are going to become your habit. All right, so we've gone through the process of setting up the sheets. I kind of like to go ahead and populate all of the sheets, see where they're going to come out. One of the issues that usually run into above like sheet 10, depending on your monitor size, is they start going into that being compressed mode, and I would rather just go ahead and rename. So a lot of times I will go back, and this is S8 instead of sheet 8, and this is S7. Or we can name those whatever. And I believe, let's see, delete is on. If you customize the menu, you may want to customize the menu, and if at one time rename was off and delete was on, usually I would turn delete off and turn rename on. Most of the time, if I need to get rid of one of these, I'm going to select it, hit delete on the keyboard, and make it go away that way. All right, so rename, and there are 2 ways to do the rename. So there's S7. If we make sheet 6 active, and then go back into the sheet properties, the name will also be at the top of the properties. And we can apply the changes. Go ahead and give that a save, and these are going to be the tool vise parts. And go ahead and save. All right, we'll call that good for now.